اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلاته والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما بقية الله الأعظم روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. We are speaking about life for this whole month. What is life? And when we know what life is, at least we will know how to live it, what to do in it, what everything is meant for. When Allah sent deen, He sent deen in order to rectify our life. When we say rectify yourself or do islah to yourself, what does that mean? It means to do islah to your life. The way that your life is being led, the way that you're living it, that's what it means. It means to rectify life. And hence, if we don't know what life is, then we won't be able to do islah to ourselves. Because islah is when you actually know what life is. And when we looked at life, we see that life has three dimensions. The three dimensions of life, one is the length of life, the other is the height of life, and then you have the width of life. The length of life is how long you will live for. And the answer to that is that you will live forever. This life Allah gave you, He's never going to take it back from you. You are alive now. Nothing is going to take that away from you. Second thing is the height of life. It is what you achieve and what you make of yourself. How high can you go? What status can you reach? How close can you go to Imam Hussein in Jannat? This is the height of life. And that's why when it says that they are the Imams of Jannat, Syed Shabab Ahlul-Jannat, it means that they are at the highest most point. And how close you get to your Imam in Jannat is going to be your status there. How close can you get there? How near do you want to be with him? And it depends on the height that you achieve here in this life that you're living. And then there's the width of life. The width of life is opening your possibilities. How much can you use Allah's blessings? How much can you utilize them? Some people, for example, have a lot of money, but they don't have the capacity to use that money. You will see a lot of people get a lot of money in their life, but they have no capacity to use this money. They don't know what to do with it. You know, it's interesting if you see it, right? If someone gives you $1 billion, you know, and you think that, oh, $1 billion would be great, this and that. Do you actually know what to do with it? Really, most people don't even know what to do with that money. Nothing. The only thing that's on their list of things that they have to do once they hit the lotto is that they're going to quit their job. That's it. I'm going to quit my job. Then what? Buy a house. Then what? Buy a car. Then what? Buy another car. Then what? Get another wife. Then what? You know, I mean, when you look at it, right, there's no list that happens. If you look at it, people don't know what to do with that money. They don't have the capacity to have it. That's why in Jannat also, Allah will not give it to you unless you have the capacity to receive it. So this capacity is locked, it's limited, it's restricted, and we have to open it up. We have to unlock it. And Allah has created the existence of us in this dunya in that way. Everything is limited. Resources are limited. Jobs are limited. Food is limited. Everyone just has enough. You see that. There's nothing superfluous. If you look at it, there's no one, for example, Allah does not make so much that everyone can be a billionaire. No, not everyone can be a billionaire here. Allah, why didn't you make that much wealth then for us, that everyone can be a billionaire? Because, again, the whole idea of this life would lose its meaning. The life that we're living right now is a game. It is a game. Allah has actually put us in a game. This is not something serious. It's a game. You're playing a game. It has all the characteristics of a game. Just like Allah says in the Quran. It is a game. And hence, if you are used to playing a game, you will understand what life is here. What is life here? Things have to be restricted. Everyone can't go to bat at once. Everyone can't bowl at once. Only one person has to bowl, the other people have to bat, and the rest of them are bored fielding. And they're looking at them when it's my turn. And that's all they're concerned about. When you look at it, that's how it is. Not everyone gets the chance. And sometimes, you go into a game, and if one person scores 100, if he scores a century, what happens? It is at the expense of other players not playing. So all those players inside there never got a chance to play because this one player is so good, he got that much. So we laud and we applaud the 100, but we are not saddened by the fact that all these people didn't get a chance to play even. You see? So the issue is that, why is this? Because life is limited. Game is like that. And hence, life is like that also. Not everyone's going to become that. And Allah created it that way so that we can truly go through life knowing that it's a game, and this is what makes the life here exciting. Here's what happens, my friends. Okay? One person scores 100, the others didn't even get a chance to play. What happens? Now, if they are like good people on the sidelines waiting there, so they'll be like, okay, we won. But you know what? There's a lot of chance that there might be issues now in the team. That, okay, you know what? I didn't even get a chance to bat. I am playing for a team and I don't even have a record. I don't even score runs. There might be jealousy. There might be envy. There might be problems here. It could happen, right? I mean, on the outward you say, as long as the team wins, it's okay for me. But on the other hand, you're like, I wish I had the chance. He takes all the limelight. This is what happens. Well, why is this happening? The reason that it happens and the reason that this is happening is because of the fact that there's limitation. If you understood the idea of limitation in life, then you will understand many things. For example, if there is a road, and we are used to roads here in Los Angeles, one of the cities that have the largest and biggest and amazing roads in the world, right? But they're always full. They're always full. Even with the greatest road system that we have in the city, you see that they're always full. In rush time and rush hour, it's like everyone is upset, right? If it wasn't for the good weather and the sun outside, you will hear people honking and cursing at each other like they do in Chicago. Because it's winter and it's snowing, people are already upset. And when there's traffic, that's it. They just blow up. And everyone is getting upset at each other. Now, why is this happening? You see, there are a lot of cars. Roads are limited. Now, when the road is limited, what happens? What happens is that everyone has to find a way. And everyone is coming in each other's way. This is the natural result of limitation. You are going to cross each other's path. You know, Allah gives the example in Hajj. When you do the tawaf, if you know what the tawaf is, it is the example of life. It is a role model for life when you're doing the tawaf. And now he made the tawaf in a very narrow space. Many people have to go there. Now, when you are going there, you see what happens? It is a natural tendency or a natural result, a consequence of that place and the amount of people that you now step on each other's feet. And you push each other. And everyone you're seeing, you know, when you're being pushed here, you're being pushed here. And then when you look at it, it's not the fault of the person next to you. It's not the fault of the person who's on the left. It's the fault of the system. It's limited. Allah, if you had made this a wide path for the whole ummah, and you invited the whole ummah, you should have made this bigger. So what will happen? Everyone will walk in their own lane and no one is going to cross each other. No one is going to hurt each other or get upset or any of these problems will occur. But then that will defeat the whole idea of a game. That will defeat the whole idea of a game. So what happens here in this life, it's the same thing. We are a lot and space is little. That's why, for example, everyone is now trying to fight for that space. And you're going to cross each other's. And when this limitation happens and the consequences of that, of crossing each other, then problems occur. That's why there are problems in this world. Problems of relationships, problems of friendship, problems of animosity. Why? Because there's a limitation here. Allah wanted that. That was intended. Allah said that this is the only way in which life could be created here, structured here for you to go through it and learn how to live in a limited space and navigate yourself through life. Because that's where our greatness comes in. That's where it comes in. Yes, and that's the idea of everyone who becomes a billionaire or wins the lotto. They want a house away from everyone else so they don't have to see their face again. You know? Like, you know, what do you want to do? I want to give money to my relatives so they can get out of my face. And they'll never see it. And I'll go to an island and buy an island. And the only way to reach me is through a boat. I mean, this is the idea. Everyone wants to run away with it. They don't have to cross each other's. But the idea is that if you do that, then you lose the potential of growth. You lose the potential of growth. The only people who are successful in a race are the ones who take part in the race. They have the chance of winning. You know, have you ever been to NASCAR? It's 2 hours of boredom for the audience. You know, I mean, it's just like cars going round and round and round, you know. It's like, okay, let's get it over with. You know, what lap are we on now? And so, you know, you just go round and round and round and that's it. But here's the deal with it. The cars that are on the field racing, thank you. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alihi Muhammad. You know, the cars that are in the track racing, these cars, you know, there's going to be a winner. Someone's going to be successful. But it's going to be from the people who are in the track and racing. Now, there's many other cars in the parking lot. Are they going to win? Do they have a chance of winning? Just like there was no chance of sighting the moon today, those cars had no chance of winning because they're in the parking lot. It's not even in the race. Only when you get in the race, you have a chance of winning. The idea of success only comes when you take part in life. When you are involved in life, when you have the usual normal problems that everyone else has. You have relatives that you don't like. You have friends that you don't want. And, you know, you have a boss that you want to, you know, bling, you know. But you see, and you go through life like that. So what happens when you go through life like that, let's say, you know, I don't like the boss. What do? I start my own business. You know what happens when you start your own business? Now the loss is your loss. Yes, no one's going to give you a paycheck. You got to earn it now. See, it's another headache. You got to work for it. You got to work for every cent that you have. No one's going to just pay you just for coming up and showing up for work. You see, it's harder, right? Doing a business is harder. So no matter what you want, there's going to be some problem there. And then on top of that, if you become a mu'min, a believer, and a Shia, you get your own special problems. Yes, you get your special problems, right? That's it. You know, for example, everyone else is in the Olympics. You're in the Special Olympics. That makes special arrangements for you all. You need more attention because you are closer to God. You know, He likes you more. So what happened is that He wants to give you more problems. And He gives you on top of that. You know, this is what happens. And when you look at it, you see these problems are always there. It's a natural part of our growth. And everything that is there for us is because that's the way life is structured here. If you know that life is structured in this world with limitation, tell me, what would make you happy here? What is the only thing that makes you happy here? And really, I'm not talking about Tylenol. You know, that's going to give you a temporary relief. I'm talking about actual happiness. What is the only thing in this world when you know that the structure of this world is that you have pain and suffering? And Allah mentions that in the Quran. Ya ayyuhal insan innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadha. You are in pain going towards Allah. You're struggling. There's no easy way. You're struggling. So the structure of this life is struggle. That's the way it is. So what is the only thing that will give you happiness? Well, no, I mean, strength will give you the ability to withstand it, to tolerate pain, but not happiness. You know the only thing that really gives you happiness? You know, all the other things are just to tolerate pain and to get through it. But the only thing, the only comfort that you have that gives you happiness in this life is knowing that it's not going to last forever. Here, I have cancer. It's okay, 20 more years, you'll be fine. Really, after you die, it won't be there. You know? A bad spouse, don't worry. Few more years. Feed him some more Pakistani food. That'll shorten his life. You know, and after a while, what happens? It'll be finished. It'll be over. Really, everything in this life and every problem in this life, the knowledge that it's not going to be forever is the real cause of happiness. Subhanallah, it's not going to be forever. He hurt me. He did wrong to me. Okay, good. You know what? It's not going to last. That hurt is not going to last long. That pain is not going to last long. I am poor. It's all right. It's not going to last long. It's all going to be finished. Friends, ending death and knowing that this life of this world is short is the greatest source of comfort to a person if he understands it. That's why some people who know what life is and what death is, who know what it is, when you look at them, you see how comfortable they are. They're just cool. When you look at, for example, Rasulullah, one of the characteristics he had was that he was just cool. Nothing bothered him. Nothing bothered him. No matter what happens. You know, they came in Uhud. They said that they came so close that they broke the teeth of Rasulullah with their spears. That's how close they came to Rasulullah and killing him. And he was standing there just relaxed, comfort, serene. Nothing bothered him. It was like you look at him and says, nothing bothers you like that. Imam Ali, nothing bothered him. No matter where you find him, what situation he is in, he is just relaxed, just comfortable. Why is that? Because when you know that there's nothing here that's lasting, then pain is also not lasting. Then why should I be bothered with this pain? Why should I be bothered with this thing? It's not going to last forever. The only time when you are bothered by the problems here is if you think that this is your life and that's it and there's nothing after this. Then yes, you know what? Your life is miserable and you'll die miserable. And there's nothing that can change that. You can try to be a billionaire as much as you want, but how many people are in the list of Forbes billionaires? What's the odds of you coming there? I'm telling you, it's not. It's easier for you to become a football player in NFL or a basketball player than to become a billionaire. My friends, I mean, really, you are going to go through a painful life. Everyone is. And you know what? If you think that this is it, then I feel bad for you. I really feel bad for people like that who think that this life is it and that's why. Because why? They should be really serious now about their problems. And those problems are killing them more now. You see, it's one thing you have problems that everyone else has. But the tension you get from those problems is worse than the problems themselves. Did you get that? And that's why it just doubles up and doubles up and doubles up until, you know what? All you can think of is your shrink. And hiring a shrink and getting yourself examined. And your head examined. And there's nothing wrong with your head. It's just that you are taking tensions for yourself. Why aren't they do that? Because they don't know what life is here. If they knew that this life is only for a while, it's for our growth, and our actual achievement is for there, and that's where we'll live forever, then Allah is saying, listen, yes, that's what I'm going to give it to you. Why? Because, you know, the structure of Akhirat is a place where Allah can reward you. There's nothing here. What can He give you? Even if Allah gives us Jannat, what's the use of that if it's going to go away in 70 years? Allah, I don't want a Jannat here. Because the structure here is not meant for me to be that happy. I mean, you know, as the adage goes, the higher you go, the harder you fall. Right? And if you get more happiness here, right, you're going to fall harder in life. And you can experiment it yourself. Every time you see you're so happy, just know that, you know what, tomorrow something's happening. Something's happening that's going to bring you down all the way. So don't get too happy, otherwise you're going to have a hard fall tomorrow. That's the way it is. Why are you trying to do that? Don't get too happy with the happiness here and then get too sad with the sadness here. Make yourself such that whenever these things happen, you know that it's not forever. True happiness, Allah is saying, I can only give there because that's where it's lasting and it's going to be forever for you. If I want to give you Hurul Een here, I mean, you will be miserable when you die. You know? And that's what happens, you know, when, you know, not to beat a beaten horse before, right? But, you know, a lot of times Allah makes those matches of marriages, you know, so that you grow from that. And you die happy. But Allah, this is the way it is. When you actually look at that, you have to thank Allah. Allah, you know what you're doing with me. You know what you're doing with me. And I'm happy with this. You know, because the true happiness you want to give me is there. That's my real life. That's permanent. And hence, my friends, knowing that your life is permanent and forever and happiness is there is what gives us that true, you can say, spirit inside of us. The motivation. Subhanallah. I'm here forever now. Nothing's going to happen to me. Allah, you made me and I know you. You don't take back what you give. In fact, if you look at Allah, When He gives you something, He doesn't take it back for you. In fact, when He asks, if he ever asks something back, He asks it very respectfully. Really, Allah is very respectful even when He asks it back from you. He's very respectful in asking it from you. Yes, when He gives it to you, it makes it yours. He will not take it back from you. And when He asks it, He says, Akhridullah khardan hasna. Give a loan to Allah. Allah, but this is yours. I know, but I want to give you respect when I ask it back from you. This is Allah. So when you see that He is giving us life, you think He's asking us back? Even then He says, if you give your life up for me and die for my sake and give up your life for my sake, listen, I cannot explain here what I'm going to give to you. I cannot explain here what I'm going to give to you. There's nothing here to give an example by. That's why Shaheed has no example. Someone who's Shaheed has no example. He gave it up for Allah. And Allah will say, oh, you know what? You did that for me. You just put your trust in me and see what you're going to get. You will be happy. Amazing. This is who Allah is. Allah's nature is that. You think that He gave you a life, He's going to take it away from you like that? He's not like that. His akhlaq His etiquette is not like that. And that's why when you look at life, life is permanent. And this is what should give us that true happiness inside, knowing that we are going to live forever. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And when you look at the height of life, knowing how much we can achieve here in a few years, and our akhirat is decided on that, is what gives us the motivation to do things here in this life. Everyone should be running around competing to see if they can do something good. They can have some cause, do some good. Serve something. One of the hadiths that I said about the best actions, remember the hadith I mentioned, best actions? One of the hadiths regarding best actions that you can do in this life is to quench someone else's thirst. When someone is thirsty, give him some water. And by that, Allah is saying social service. Social service, give best actions that you can do here. Why? Because really, anything that you can do here to make yourself good, it's an opportunity. I don't want to miss it because it is helping my life. It's making my file bigger. I do this and I do it. It's the motivation that we have. And Allah, He kept attractions here. Now, why did He keep attractions here? Because I'm wrapping up today, and this is going to be the grand finale. Height of the world is how much we take off from here. But here's the thing. What Allah did, in order to make our height more valuable, He made attractions here in this dunya. Yeah, He made attractions here. Like, for example, family is an attraction. Children are an attraction. Wealth is an attraction. Reputation is an attraction. Izzat is an attraction. All of these are attractions. Allah, why did you keep these attractions here? If you had nothing here, we would have just taken off and flew away. But the problem is that if you just take off and without anything holding you down, if you just take off, then your takeoff and your flight will have no value. You know why flight is valuable? The Wright brothers, they built the first airplane. It was a big deal. Now everyone is flying. Flight, why it's so valuable? Why is it valuable? No. The reason it's valuable is because there's gravity. Gravity is pulling you down. That's why you can't fly. To fly in a sphere where there's gravity pulling you down is valuable. That in spite of gravity being pulled down, you're flying. This is what makes it valuable. If you want to fly on the moon, it's not that big a deal. You can be jumping 50 feet in the air. But try doing that here, where there's gravity. Allah kept the gravity here so that when you fly, your flight will have value. The same reason He put attractions in this dunya, so that when you start flying, your flight is going to have value. You are going to become great. that in spite of all these things holding you down, you're able to fly. You're able to go higher. This is the reason why the height of the dunya is so valuable, and it makes you great. People, in spite of all the attractions, they leave it. That's why it is important for us to have these attractions, and I explained that before. They have it with us so that we can learn how to sacrifice them for Allah's sake. Learn how to sacrifice them for Allah's sake. For example, if a person, he wears like torn clothes and old clothes and this and that, for him to fall into sajda on the street is easy. But someone is wearing Armani suit, he thinks twice. Suit costs 2,000, It costs 2,000, If I go down, it might get wrinkled or some, it is there, right? So if you have it, then your sajda is going to be more valuable. That's why your sajda is more valuable. And that's why your height is great. Having these attractions and having them with you, that's the height. And the width, again, the width is the possibilities that you have here that you can open up here. And the width is opened up by what? By the codes Allah gave you. The codes are called Shariat. Following the Shariat, why? Why should we follow the Shariat? Why should we limit ourselves in spite of all the other limitations so that I can unlimit myself in the real life? Every time you pray, it is a lock that is opening your life there. Every time you stay away from sin, it's a lock that's opening there so you can use more of Allah's blessing. When you go to Akhirat and you see other people who have more blessings than you, Allah says, I want to give it, but you know what? You don't have the capacity to take it. You can only see Imam Hussein once a year. That's your capacity. Some people see it once a week. Some people see him every day. It's up to you. Some people might see him once every 1,000 years. So you have to wait 1,000 years to see him. Why? Because you didn't grow in your capacity. That's what it means. You want to grow in capacity? This is what it means. Follow Allah's laws here. Limit yourself here so that in the Akhirat it can open you up and give you a better chance. So this is my life. This is life, my friends. Once you understand it, then you will know where everything fits in you. Why these things are there. Why Imam Ali is the Imam. Why Imam Hassan is the Imam. Why is he the Imam? Because this is where our width and our height comes in. And from there we understand Imam Hassan is the Imam, that Imam Hussein is the Imam that we have to reach. Our width, how much we can bear, is how much can I bear being with him. Do I want to see him more? Or I don't? This is something that we need to look for ourselves. And life, when you look at it that way, every moment is exciting. And I just leave it at that for you all. That life is exciting, and it's exciting when you know it. Every moment becomes a pleasure. Every problem becomes a pleasure. And every, achievement you make becomes a pleasure. And that's where you see a person starts living. And when he's living, you don't see him sad. You always see him smiling. You always see him smiling. Why? Because he knows what life is. And he's achieved it. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq and the blessing to be on the right path, the wisdom to understand His guidance. Hasten the reappearance of our Imam. Make us His helper when He comes. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Salawat ala Muhammad wa alaihi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.